This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Danilo's free, and it goes to Gibbs wide.
First time we've seen them attack them, and there's Brandon! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robinson do. Tyler one, he scores! And the city ground goes ballistic! He's through here! And in the end, Forrest will say it doesn't matter how you play as long as you win it. Yeah! Forrest Premier League!
Hello and welcome to another edition of Red Side of the Trent, here to go through the defeat at Man United as Forest fell to a 3-2 defeat after going 2-0 up. No full house today. I am with Christian Brown and Reese Lane as ever. Welcome, gents. Hope you're all well. I know, obviously, Christian, you was our man on the ground there at Old Trafford. But I'm going to start with you, Reese. Obviously, changes to the lineup. Ola Aina came back in at left wing back for Nico Williams after picking up a knock that ruled him out of the Sheffield United game. And Ryan Yates returned back in the middle of the park for Mangala, who was ruled out after training. Was you worried about the two in midfield being overran after seeing the lineup? Obviously, Johnson, Gibbs White, and Nwunyu started up top. And I know Christian was very concerned, but I thought I'd ask you instead.
Yeah, I think whenever we play at two in the Premier League, there is an element of concern, but there was the right call to bring Ryan Yates back in without a doubt because he just battles, doesn't he? And we see that when he came on against Sheffield United. Obviously, there was a lot of chat about the back three centre-backs. I mean, Niakate, obviously, if he's on the bench, probably isn't fit, in my opinion, to do a 90 or start a game. So, I mean, I'm not sure what George really Cooper's got. He's got to go with that three. The argument would be we haven't made any reinforcements yet in that area. I think that's going to change if we believe what we see on Twitter. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, to start with the three up front as well, as we're going to come on to, it bloody well worked for the first 5 minutes, didn't it? So, yeah, I wouldn't say the two. I think as the game went on, I wouldn't say having the two in midfield showed as much yesterday, but it was obviously a ping pong game, really, that you kind of just didn't really notice it.
Yeah, definitely. Christian, obviously, I think you've seen the two-man midfield. Came into our Twitter chat or WhatsApp group and said incoming 5-0 loss. But could you have imagined Taiwo Nwunyu running away from Marcus Rashford after 2 minutes from his own half to put us into absolute pandemonium? Talk us through the goal.
No. In short, no. I was initially quite worried because, I mean, I thought it was initially very poor from Turner to sort of spill that one past the post. I was like, oh, Jesus, as far as you mean to go on then. And then, obviously, we deal with it very comfortably. The thing is, we don't even do anything uncharacteristic from the corner. I don't really understand how United had no one back. But, I mean, obviously, Johnson initially hacks it clear and Gibbs White sort of flicks it backwards into an empty space. And Taiwo out of nowhere just runs past Rashford and Anthony and just sprints through on goal. We're like, oh, shit, hang on a minute. And then, yeah, I initially thought that he blew it. I thought he took too long. And I was like, what's he doing? It's a bit like watching the goal against Palace again, where he sort of was in a different mindset to everyone else of what to do. And just taking his own time. And yeah, it was quite funny. Watching Onana go down and then the ball still sort of bumbled into the back of the net anyway. He still didn't hit it cleanly. But no, I mean, the scenes when that went in, honestly, it was just ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, I think we were all saying before the game, just score a goal. I mean, obviously, twice last season, we had, a volley go offside that was looked at for handball for 4 minutes because it's Man United at Old Trafford, even though there was no handball involved. And then we looked, and then obviously we had Surridge, who was, a kneecap offside at home. So just to actually, land a punch against them was quite meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, Taiwo Nwunyu becomes the first player for Forest to have scored in 7 consecutive games and the third African to do this, with Mo Salah and Adebayor, so not bad company there. Reece, obviously, they've come like buses. We've hit 2 in 4 minutes, and I don't think Willy Bolly knew too much about it. Thoughts?
No, it didn't. Just hit him square on the head, didn't it? And
You could tell by his reaction, couldn't you?
yeah, well, it obviously could tell by Onana's reaction as well. I don't think he covered himself in glory in that first goal, like Christian said. Onana, I'm not sure what he was doing sitting on the floor, but yeah, it obviously took him by surprise, and yeah, just crazy. I mean, absolutely crazy. I mean, I'd literally just put in a group to my mates, and I was like, I just put like G's tie where my mate was like, "Oh, I've not started watching yet." He was like, "What? Has he missed a sitter or something?" I was like, "We're 2-0 up, mate." So yeah, I mean, an absolutely crazy start. I put this to somebody on Twitter. It kind of reminded me of the start we had at Aston Villa in that 5-5, and it was like, oh shit, we're 2-0 up here after 5 minutes. It's still another, in this day and age of football, 100 minutes to go here. And you knew obviously United would pile on the pressure, and obviously get to grips with the game more. It's just such a crazy start. I mean, I'm not seeing anything like that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're starting the pod like right up here, and then it's going to slowly start coming down now. But it's the cliche, isn't it? We've scored too early. Obviously, Christian, we've allowed United to get back into it. I don't know where you want to start with in terms of maybe not conceding this goal. I think you kind of have to start with the source of it, of letting Bruno Fernandes shoot from 25 yards out, and then what goes on afterwards. I think it could be prevented. I don't know what you want to think about the Christian Eriksen goal.
It's very easy preventable, yeah. I mean, it's not just one thing you can point at. Like I said, there are several things. There's obviously, I noticed very early on, actually, Bruno realised that we were obviously going a bit deep. It was like, all right, fuck it, I'll just start shooting from range then. And I think that was the second or third time he tried that before obviously they scored. Because obviously, as soon as we scored the second goal, we didn't touch the ball for about 5-6 minutes. So, and yeah, so obviously you're right, not really closing him down. As we said before, after Sheffield United pods, if you give Premier League players time and space to shoot from outside the box, they are likely to hurt you. I mean, you could say I'm being harsh here. I think Turner parries it back into play when he should probably push it around the post. And we're slow to react to that. Rashford gets it. We're slow to go out to him. And then when the ball goes in the box, McKenna's slow to pick up Christian Eriksen. So there are 4 or 5 things there, which if only one of those was any different, we avoid the goal. But because it all happened simultaneously, I mean, we'll come on to it in due course, obviously, because I'm sure we're going to cover on the complaint that we've lodged and some of the commentary we've had from that. But both things can be true in that we've been poor defending a 2-0 lead, but also haven't been helped by things elsewhere.
I mean, I think you're a little harsh on Turner because the ball like skids off the ground. I think he parries it far enough wide for me for us to actually end up dealing with it. It's the reaction for me from defenders that I think is more glaringly bad, especially like Willy Bolly's pointing to where Rashford's going to run, but doesn't actually cover Aurier himself as well, which is very puzzling for me. But Reece, just before half time, Johnson sets up Morgan Gibbs White, and how many times out of 10 would you say that actually probably goes in rather than hits Tyrell Wunny in the arse?
Yeah, that was a brilliant piece of work from Johnson. That was, he skinned Dalot, didn't he, and got in behind him, and the ball back was equally as good. That kind of summed up where it was going to go, wasn't it, as luck in that game, because that was heading in. There was no doubt that was heading in. And Onana was going across the other way. He wouldn't have saved that. I don't think he'd even got near it, to be honest. And it's just bad luck, isn't it? Well, I mean, what can you do? Gibbs White's placed it in a good area and it's hit his own player. And like I said, that is when his luck kind of seemed to have ran out, isn't it? Yeah, such a shame. That's probably one of the turning points of the game. You could say that one.
Yeah, because obviously second half we have an early chance where I think Awundi breaks down into he has no right to get to the ball, and he ends up trying to pull a chance.
I think it was Gibbs White who tried to pull it back to Johnson, and I think Dalot just got a toe in. That would have been a tap in. That would have been an empty tap in for Johnson. Fine margins, as we always say.
Definitely, and obviously Christian, you don't take your chances in the Premier League, and you get punished. And I don't know if you want to speak about the free kick that gets given to Man United, but I mean, it can go either way because at one time Fernandez has felt contact from behind, he's gone down. We laud Ryan Yates for doing this on the edge of our own box when he wins free kicks like this, but the defending from it is abysmal in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I didn't think I didn't have many complaints about the free kick. I thought it was a little bit soft, but I could see what was given. I think ultimately, who is it that comes? It's Yates, isn't it? It goes into Fernandez. Yates gives the referee a decision to make, really. The way he lunges in. Not saying he's at fault for it. He's obviously very honest in what he's trying to do, go for the ball. But Fernandez reads it like a book and just anticipates the contact and takes it. So yeah, I can see why some would say it was harsh, but equally I can see why it was given. It was a cleverly worked free kick from them, but as we've seen, on the replay, it isn't so much. Again, we're very slow to get out when is it Ericsson Bruno passes it to? I think
Rashford.
Rashford. Yeah, Rashford passes it to. We're very slow to react to Rashford, and again, he's got time to just all right, I'll clip it over then. And Johnson then sort of is caught daydreaming, doesn't come up with the rest of the line. Fernandez runs in and goal. It's just an easy tap in for Casemiro. But I think the most frustrating thing for me was out of all of that was, yes, again, we conceded inside the first 10 minutes of second half. And that happened so many times last season. It happened again against Sheffield United, and it's happened again yesterday. It's something that I don't know what happens, what they say at half time, because I get we're playing a team with immense quality and one that's been amassed with immense wealth, but you can't do things like that. Surely you think after a second half you'd be switched on, you'd be focused, you'd be I expect this lax like that, if you like, to the last final phase of the game when you're more tired, not straight after half time. I don't know why it keeps happening to Forest. It's very, very weird. But yeah, it's obviously there's nothing Turner can do, really, is there? I mean, he tries his best, bless him. He's a simple tap in for Casemiro, but yeah, ultimately Johnson not coming up with the rest of the back line keeps Fernandez on side. It's brilliant play from Rashford and Fernandez. I mean, he's ran his time his run perfectly, but again, we've not really helped ourselves.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, I'm going to give both of you the chance to talk about one of these incidents, but Reese, I do want to get your opinion on this because I know you're quite level-headed most of the time, and Lee not being here to give his refereeing hat, we've got to talk about the sending off for Joe Worrell. A lot of ex-players, even pundits, have said it's a extremely harsh red card, and Steve Cooper obviously came back out post-match and said that the referee was maybe too quick to get his red card out. What are your thoughts on the sending off?
Well, first of all, it's a foul without doubt for me. I'm afraid, Fernandez is in front of Worrell. I think Joe's put his arm across him, and then there's probably a bit of a tangle of legs. That is probably it is a mistake because you're giving that Clan Atwell a decision to make, and Cooper is right. I thought he couldn't wait to get his card out. He just could not wait to get his card out. And as soon as we've just discussed this before we started recording, he did the classic. For those who play FIFA, the classic trot, didn't he? Where as soon as the referee picks up some acceleration, the red card's going to be brandished. And to be fair to Joe, he didn't have many complaints. He was sat on the floor, and I think he kind of knew, very similar to the Spurs penalty last season. I think he knew he'd made the foul and obviously gave the ref a decision to make. Now, do I think it's a red card? It's subjective, definitely. I don't think Turner would have got there, but I think maybe Bolly would have got there. I spoke to Gazoo, obviously we had on the pod. He thought it was a red. He didn't think Bolly would have got there. So it's really subjective. Yeah, and obviously when that goes to VAR are not going to overturn that because they'll see it as, well, he's made a foul, Atwell's gave a red card. We are going to have to basically say, we are categorically 100% that Turner or Bolly's going to get there, which I don't think anyone can say that. But yeah, it's a little harsh for me.
The thing
I
is,
don't know if that's because I've got my Forest hat on, but yeah, it's.
The The thing is, you can say Bolly or Turner aren't going to get there. You can equally say Bruno Fernandes is not going to get there.
Yeah,
He doesn't have control
true.
of the ball.
Very
Do you know
true.
what I mean? And then
Very. I think
both things can be true, can't they? So, do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
But it was
yes,
kind of like the running through last season for the City game for him, wasn't it? When he was running through onto that, it was like obviously there was. Can you remember that goal when?
Rashford was clearly offside, like shielding the ball away from Akanji.
And he was kind of saying, "Yeah, well, the Akanji had got there at the time, wasn't they? If Rashford didn't shield him, and ironically, they gave that as well to Manchester United. So." Yeah, it's a tough one, but like I agree with you. I just didn't. I thought Atwell couldn't wait to get his card out. To be honest, I don't think he gave himself time to think. But yeah, it's a tough one. Like I say as well, Joe's lack of reaction was a bit surprising. I think, or he's probably just so annoyed with himself that he's made the foul and gave the referee a decision to make. But it's kind of one of them you'll never know because none of us can really predict the future and see what had happened in that move, whether who'd have got there first. So, yeah, I think personally, I thought a good referee would have given a yellow there. Well, an amber, as they say, don't they? But we didn't have a good referee yesterday. We know what Atwell's like.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously,
it's interesting. Sorry, it's just to say that I have quite a different take on that completely. I think Turner does get there first. I think Bolly, if it isn't Turner, it will be Bolly. The ball, Fernandes isn't getting that ball, but that I'm certain of. And I'm pretty Turner was by the penalty spot pretty much by the time that Fernandes was being told.
He's good at that, to be fair, Turner, coming off his line.
He was very quick coming off his line. I think he gets there first, personally, out of anyone. But the fact is, Bolly is covering. It's interesting because I think Worrell was kind of waiting for VAR as well because he was sat on the floor. He didn't move for a while. He's sort of looking at the screen while it comes VAR
very
check.
fair.
And what I don't get is VAR looked at it for quite a while and they still couldn't see that Bolly or it was two things there. Fernandes has got control of the ball. Is he denying goal scoring opportunity? No, because he hasn't got control of the ball. Is Bolly likely covering? I think yes. And if not, have they even looked at where Turner's positioning is? So these are questions, and they take about 2-3 minutes to look at that, and they still came to that decision. It's embarrassing, but I
think a good point to make as well is, but like Fernandes wasn't advanced ahead of Bolly as well, and Bolly was like by his side.
No, exactly.
So it's not like So they're basically saying like in that short. Yeah, when there's hardly any grass to win a foot race.
Exactly. So this is why it's so stupid. Like, I mean, you're right. Atwell couldn't fucking wait to give that decision. I'll come on with my thoughts on him in due course. But like, it's a yellow card. Don't get me wrong. Worrell is fucking stupid for doing it. That's the first thing we have to say. It is unbelievably stupidity. Like, he's grabbed hold. He hasn't just like he isn't tangled legs race. He's grabbed hold of his fucking shorts and pulled him down. It's a clear foul. Like, there's no accidental. There's nothing like unintentional about it. He's intentionally taking him out. And there's no need to do it because if you saw what's ahead of him, and this is why, realistically, don't get me wrong, I didn't think he played badly yesterday at all, but this is why he's realistically our 5th best or 6th best centre back. Because, assuming the third person, let's say we sign this Murillo guy, which, depending on what you believe in Brazil, could or could not be happening, then he realistically is going to be 5th choice behind Bolly, behind Niakate, behind Felipe, and behind a new centre back. And that is why he sees Bolly ahead of him. He sees a goalkeeper coming to an onrushing ball, and yet he still takes a player out. Like, he gives the referee a decision to make. We know what it's like at Old Trafford. We know there's a different set of rules for them. We know they get everything. We know they get decisions no other team gets. Don't be stupid enough to give the referee a call to make. So that's what it comes down to ultimately. Is it a red card? No. But if you're going to tempt fate like that at Old Trafford, that's what's going to happen, unfortunately.
It was such a shame for Joe because I actually thought he was largely very, very good, and then that he gives, like you say, he gives the referee a decision to make. But we've got to talk about the penalty, obviously, that inevitably wins Manchester United the game. Rashford 1v1 v Danilo, and you could argue Danilo maybe goes in with the wrong foot, and there is the slightest bit of contact. But for me, two things can be true. You can have contact and it can still be a dive. For me, it's an absolute farce that is a foul. It's not a foul anywhere else on the pitch. So how is it a foul in the box? I don't know, Reese. I don't know if you want to give your opinion on it as well.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say, pro towards the penalties. It's very naive from Danilo to even dangle a leg. I think, again, when you dangle a leg like that, you're giving an incompetent referee decision to me. And again, he couldn't bleeding wait to put the whistle to his lips. As soon as Danilo did it and Rashford went down, theatrically, you just knew he'd give a penalty. But that's never in a million years a penalty. This crap narrative of, oh, any contact in the box is a penalty is bollocks. You'd be giving penalties every bleeding time it went in the box if there's contact in the box. You may as well say, if that's the case, and Casemiro's push on Bolly, which isn't a penalty, is a penalty because it's contact. It's just nonsense. It's just a nonsense argument. And then you watch the Brighton West Ham game, and Paqueta pushes Estepinian straight in the back. Referee, no. Far more contact. And then you've got people saying, oh, at that speed, any brush like that makes you go down. They've never kicked a ball if that's what they think in the life.
It was like Onana punching the Wolves player last week.
People brushing your sock does not make you go theatrically down like that. Rashford brought it, and a referee was more than happy to give it to them because it was Manchester United and there was under the cosh a bit. And, you know, I was a little bit disappointed, like I say, with Danilo, because it's just to dangle a leg, like Christian just said. You're just giving referees decisions to make there, and he'll favour Manchester United. You know, they'll favour the home team, and really that was it. Once it got ahead, I actually thought we played quite well, to be honest, with 10 men. We played for pretty much 35 minutes, I think it was, with the added time, and United didn't look like they were going to score again, and we actually stayed in the game. It was pretty 50-50, and that's why I put on my Twitter how proud I was with the efforts of the team, because I thought they gave their all yesterday. And literally, when we rolled up to the likes of Arsenal and United last season, we pretty much rolled over and had his bellies tickled. And yesterday, and at Arsenal, especially yesterday, even more so, we've given a real good account of ourselves. It's just frustrating. We've, on both occasions, been pipped to the post and been beaten. But never a penalty for me, that.
Christian, I don't know if you wanted to add anything towards the penalty.
Yeah, it's not a pen. I mean, the thing that gets me is that I get what Reece is saying with Danilo's leg, because he does sort of half commit and half pull away, and we've seen penalties like that given before. But what makes me laugh is that Rashford anticipates that Danilo's not going to pull his leg back and just dives over nothing. There isn't any contact. If there's any contact, Rashford actually instigates it because he dives into Danilo. So it's sort of like, oh, that can't be a penalty then, can it? There's no contact. He's forced the contact. Like he hasn't taken any hit. He's just jumped into Danilo. So at the time, from where we were stood, and this is where I do have a little bit. This might be unpopular. A tiny bit of sympathy for Stuart Atwell here, is because from where we saw it in the stands, we saw that and thought, fuck. Like it looked like at the time, Danilo, obviously, it looked like Rashford had instigated the contact as well, but it looked much more severe than it did in the replays. So I can see why Atwell gave it in the ground. What I don't get is how VAR looked at it for a grand total of 0.1 seconds and went, yeah, penalty. Because if you see that back and rewind it and look again, it's very clearly not a penalty. It's very clearly a dive. It should have been overturned. He should have been booked for simulation, and we should have had a free kick. If that's at the other end of the pitch, we know full well it isn't even being looked at, let alone given. Like the double standards for that club are a fucking joke. It really is. Like it's beyond. Like we no one wants to believe like this league is corrupt, and obviously you sound like a tin hat Matt Letizia conspiracy theorist if you say so. But look at the decisions United get, even this season. And also, like you've got last week Bruno Fernandes hammering the officials after the game, saying because I haven't got a penalty in a game that equally Spurs should have had a penalty in as well, which he coincidentally forgets, doesn't mention. And then, lo and behold, we get a referee who hasn't refed us since May 2022 when he cost us automatic promotion at Old Trafford. The last time he refed at Old Trafford, he gave an offside goal that was onside goal that was so clearly offside it was a joke. But that's meant to be a coincidence, is it? That's, no. I think
as well, like I was somebody back in the day who thought VAR would aid these referees. It's making a lot of them worse. And
it's just
the
comments, how bad the officials are. It's highlighting
it has. And the comment,
best league in the world, and the worst officials.
And the comments from Mike Dean this week, are an absolute disgrace. saying that he didn't want to send. He didn't want to send another ref over to the screen because he'd had so much to deal with in that game, even though he knew it was a red card. That's ridiculous comment, and he's like trying to dig himself a hole. It's not ideal, is it, at all? When obviously there's fans, getting on the back to referees, and then obviously Mike Dean's retired now, but it's not going to make things any better, is it? And I don't think Howard Webb would have been very happy at all with him saying that, to be honest. But
this is where Gabriel Bonglahor comes into it as well, because on TalkSport he said it was a dive, and he says there needs to be an ex-player in VAR, and I agree with him.
The thing is,
it's player allegiances with VAR. Like, I mean, how do we know? For example, let's say we get Gabby Bonglahor as just a generic example.
God, we are scraping the barrel.
Yeah, let's put him in the VAR room, right? Okay, so you're immediately saying that you can't have any Villa games or any other games of Villa's rivals. But what about teams that we don't know about? He doesn't like. Let's say he doesn't like Man United for whatever reason, and then we can't put him on those games either. So then, what can you?
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
He don't like Newcastle, does he? Now, the thing is, Dan, and this is another easy go-to. Where are these players queuing up to be VAR refs? Because there isn't any who are actually doing it. It's always just clickbait, something in the media. Oh, if a player was in there, well, you need to have the supply. I don't see any players training to be a VAR ref, do you? So it's an easy. Yeah, it would be good, because there is some player pundits who do know what they're talking about, and that.
There are quite a few players who said that. I think it was Sutton, Keown, even Savage said it was a dive. Obviously, the two on TalkSport, O'Hara and Bonglahor. Don Hutchinson said it was a dive. I mean, this isn't just like deluded Forest fan theory. There's so many ex-pros who have said it's not a penalty, it's a dive.
Look, I mean, Keown usually never has a good word to say about it, so he was fuming, wasn't he? I mean, this will be unpopular, but someone who is actually quite good with stuff like this on TalkSport is Danny Murphy. So I'm interested to see what he has to say, because he's really quite against VAR, and he always does pull decisions like this up. So I can imagine if he's on TalkSport this week, which he usually is, I can imagine him pulling that decision up and saying that's never a penalty.
Yeah, I know we've obviously said that with 10 men, we gave a really good account of ourselves. We actually almost nicked a draw. I mean, obviously, Bolly had a push in the back before actually having a volley saved by Onana. But the one chance I did want to ask you about, Christian, as well within the ground, was Elanga going down the line, leaving Casemiro for Dust. And then if he'd got a shoe size bigger, Chris Wood gets to it.
And that's how it felt. It was almost like the Gaza 96 moment, wasn't it, really? 90 moment, whatever it was. I mean, Italian 90, when he was stretching, just missed it. And it was just a bit like that.
You're a 96, mate.
It was 96. Yeah, sorry.
Against Germany.
90's when he got booked. That's the one. Sorry, my mistake. It was brilliant from Elanga, really. That was, to be honest, also, I don't know if this is maybe just me being a little bit Forest tinted specs on, but I was a bit surprised that the referee didn't speak to Casemiro after that, because he didn't even try to win the ball. His intention with that slide tackle was just take him clean out, take the card. And I don't know, obviously we haven't got Lee here to sort of clarify that, but normally the intent like that normally leads to either talking to a card anyway, like in the aftermath. But of course it's United, so. And but no, it was brilliant. It was a really good ball over. It's just so unfortunate. We just can't get there. It would have been bedlam if that had gone in. Absolute bedlam in that stand. But alas, it wasn't to be. But no, I thought Wood, when he came on, actually was fairly useful. He won a few headers, won a few flick-ons, got in a few decent positions. It's very unlucky of that chance. It's just one of those. There's no one really at fault for it. It's a great ball from Elanga. It's great play from him. It's just, like you said, if Wood was a shoe size up, then we would have used to talk about a 3-3 draw against all odds until we would have got about. I probably would be disallowed for something knowing United, but
I mean, it's nice to have substitutes that can have an influence on the game for us this season. So that's a good positive. And I thought good account of ourselves. Before we get into some player performance, we're going to do some slept on it thoughts. So I'll put the jingle in right now.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
So bread and cheese. I saw a tweet before the match predicting this very outcome of terrible decisions ensuring this result. It is truly sickening. Just hope we get our own VAR decision our way when it affects the result same way. Ian Allsart, Red Chicky Chi, as he's known on Twitter. Great start, but we have to look after the ball a bit better in general. Danilo at the moment ineffective, and the defence is highly questionable. Goalkeeper, a good lad, just needs to slow down a bit when the ball is in his hands. No faulting our efforts, and we have clearly improved. Never a pen or free kick. Dan Robinson, Bruno died for the free kick, which led to their second goal. Danny Tring, officials was poor. However, the lads gave everything they had until the last minute. I feel like with Niakate and Felipe in the starting lineup, we at least get a draw. As for Taiwo, who scored against anyone, anywhere. Ben P83, gutted guys. Not fucking surprised these officials are shy, and it's Old Trafford. We're going to become a good team. Onwards we go. Come on, you Reds. Tom Oxford, I'm counting it as a draw in my head. Soft red, never repeat, never a pen. Focus on the positive. Scored 2 away from home. Tyro is a goal machine. Will be okay this season. BCP, disappointing, but when you can see us being a good side, when key injured players return and new signings are bedded in. But McKenna and Worrell aren't going to worry many strikers, I'm afraid. Bolly was a beast. Emma, tough to take. Thought we played well, and even at 10 men, looked good value. A few defensive issues to sort out, and I'll leave the rant about VAR Atwell to Christian. Carl Booth, great start. We knew they were going to pile the pressure on, but how are you supposed to compete when officials are playing for the top 4? Taiwo, brilliant form. Bolly, impressing. A travesty not to get a pen, but still improvement from last season. Craig, I don't think we threw it away. Officials gave him the platform, because I did say that we did throw it away a bit, but it's just a tongue-in-cheek kind of phrase, obviously. Elliot, Steve wants to play like how we did in the promotion season, as much as we can do that in attacking. Sadly, the back line isn't capable enough away from home. I'm very, very confident we'll stay up, though. Would like to see Alanga start on Wednesday. Keep up the ace pod. Thank you very much for that nice compliment. Sarah, I'm still livid. No way were the officials letting us win that game. So biased. Jim, the transformation so far from last season to the first 3 games this season without doubt a positive. We're having a go, playing with less fear. Forest feel like they are on up. Joe Weisel liked us on winning the ball. Tom Newton slept on it. You need everything and more to align to get everything here. Fantastic performance with some very iffy decisions. One negative, possibly, if you can call it that, is that we scored way too early. You knew they would just throw everything at us, which they did. And last of all, but no means least, GN. Reasons to be cheerful. Last year away against top 4, we lost an average 4-0. Currently going where 1-0 is, if you like, the minus goal difference. I think he's 1 or 2-0. Average, 1-0. Average first and third still. Got Felipe to come back, Murillo to sign, Santos and Montiel to come in, possible new left back, and Hudson-Odoi. More than happy right now. Sorry, it took me a minute to realise what you're saying, but thank you very much for getting us in touch with your slept on it thoughts. We do appreciate it. It's a really good part of the pod, I do think, to get everyone involved. We're going to talk some player performances. Reese, I'm going to give you the man that has become my wife's favourite player because he's got a very, very funny name, and that's Willy Bolly.
Yeah, I thought Willy Bolly. I'm gonna use his full name. I thought Willy Bolly was brilliant yesterday. I really did. Like we've discussed, we obviously knew nothing about that guy. He's just hit his massive head and gone in, bless him. So, but yeah, I thought he was pretty solid yesterday. And to be honest, he was solid last season. I mean, he had a bit of a slow start, which was because I think he was really rusty into it. He come in quite late in the window, if I remember correctly. And then I think it might have took him maybe a few weeks before he did play. So he was a bit rusty at the start. Then when he come in, he was actually quite good. And he was obviously in the team up until the Fulham away game when he got injured. Yeah, I think he's, as a squad player, is very solid at this level, personally. I don't think, like, if obviously we signed Murillo and Felipe and Niakate, he's probably the next in line to come in for them 3. But I think he always gives his all, personally, Willie. And that rumour that he was going to leave in the summer has certainly been quashed, hasn't it? So yeah, I think he was definitely the best centre half of the three yesterday, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Christian, I'm going to give you the man that is the most informed striker in the league. I said it against Gaza. It continued. I never thought Tyrell Wunya would have such an end to the season. Never mind such a start.
Four off
Wow.
the record now as well to
Yeah.
equal Vardy's record. I had a look yesterday.
Yeah. Christian, Tyrell Wunya.
Tyler was great. Tyler was great yesterday. He was in one of the sort of subplots of the game was his little battle with Martinez, and he was just so good. Tyler yesterday, he was so good. Like there were so many things. Like I noticed obviously because we were so deep at the time, naturally had to go long to sort of clear the lines, but he held the ball up so well. He battled with everything. Like I think the fact Varane came off at half time says quite a lot about how well Tyro played, because World Cup winning centre back, one of the best centre backs, and Rolls Royce for several years. And like when it wasn't Martinez going up against him, Rag could get near him. It was just getting thrown all over the place like a rag doll. It was great. But yeah, Tyro was brilliant. Obviously, the pace he showed as well for the goal. I mean, like the acceleration, like Rashford's one of the fastest wingers in the league, and he's got what a good 10-meter head start. And within like a second, he's ahead of them both. It's just like, Jesus, like I couldn't believe it. But no, again, the way he took his goal as well was, I mean, he was just the calmest man in the whole stadium when that was going on. Like, sat Onana down, made him dive, prodded it in anyway. Like, so many players could have rushed that scenario. So many players would have panicked, and he was just so composed. And yeah, okay, fair enough. He didn't, as you say, Adam, the classic of one he finished where he's not fully connected with it, but it all counted. They all going in. No, unbelievable. I'm really proud of him for obviously breaking the records. And yeah, like it's just so buzzing to have a player that good at Forest. It's great. Like think of all the shit strikers we've had like along the years, like your Scott Dobies, your Neil Harris's, like all these like even Ross McCormack, who were promised great things from, and scored one goal in 12 games. Eugene Darley, all these strikers. Yeah, Frederica Makeda, all these strikers where we've been put through like, you've looked at them and thought, fucking hell, have I got a chance to play for this club or something? Like, and then you've got an actually brilliantly gifted striker. Like, and it's like, honestly, so the fact so many people wrote him off because he didn't score in pre-season last season. It's just so funny. Like you look back in hindsight, there was that one account one day who said that, oh, he can't run, he's got no pace, he's a duds. I wonder how he's feeling now. But
I mean, I called him a clogger at the start of last season. I mean, he's now become the Keenan Davis that I'd hoped he would be.
I think he's definitely trimmed up a little bit in pre-season. He has got a yard of pace quicker. I mean, Jesus, I mean, like Christian said, Rashford's very quick, and
it's the power, it's the
absolutely
power,
blew him. You know what I mean? It was
absolutely burned him. Yeah,
I
mean, it was ridiculous.
I wish I'd looked into his conversion rate, because he doesn't get like loads and loads of chances for us, does he? It's not like he's peppering the goal 3 or 4 times a game, sort of thing. So. And then it's very unorthodox finishing, but it seems to work. So I'm all for it. But the second player I'm going to give you, Reese, and I thought this player was man of the match. I don't know about you, but Ryan Yates was sensational in the middle of the park. He smashed everyone he could get near anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this was at the beginning of the pod, wasn't it? It was definitely the right call to bring him in because I said this on the last pod. God, the discussions I've had about Ryan Yates over the years in this pod. But what Ryan gives you, he'll give you 100%, and he'll battle for you in that midfield. And they've got somebody like that in terms of Casemiro, similar, obviously, ability-wise and what he's done, quite a level ahead with respect to Ryan. But someone who's going to put his foot in and do the dirty stuff. And against United as well, when they've got that miserable fucker Fernandez in the team, he obviously is not going to like that type of player, is he, digging at his heels and trying to, bully him about a bit. But yeah, he does what he does best. Well, I mean, he just uses the attributes what he's really good at, Ryan, to maximum effect, and that's really all you can ask for. There'll always be, I think, a section who think that we can probably get somebody better in there, but he does what he does, and he does it well. And you do, a lot of games in the Premier League, you do need players who are going to dig in and battle in there, and you can't fault him for that. So yeah, rightly restored to the lineup, and again another really good battling performance from him.
Yeah, we needed at Chelsea next week for definite. And
Yeah,
Christian, I'm going to give you his counterpart in Danilo, who towards the end of last season was a real key figure in us helping us stay up. This season has got off to a particularly slow start. I obviously I want you to sum up his performance, but are you a little bit worried, or are you not too worried because he's still young and he's still technically adapting to the league? And do you think he'll come good eventually?
I thought it'll come good eventually. We've seen that, but it's just I feel a bit bad for him. Really, it's just a bit frustrating. Like I felt we've gone from a system that really utilizes the most from him last season with the three in midfield, because he did seem to relish that role. Like whenever we played, he was always okay. Fair enough, he had a bit of a slow start, but particularly from March onwards when he came back into the team, I'd say, like he really head down and made that his own, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew how, like, he was very comfortable. And now we've gone to this like two in midfield again. He just doesn't seem to suit him at all. So I'm not entirely sure whether it's him or a failure of him not necessarily meshing with the system as such yet, but it's a bit of a concern because I thought he was poor against Sheffield United as well. And yeah, obviously, even at Arsenal game, okay, fair enough, it's great skill from Martinelli for the first goal, but he's breezes past Danilo for that. There's no real attempt to stop him. So yeah, he's not had a good start by any means, especially by the standards he set last season. I would actually consider dropping him for Chelsea. Although he's quite fortunate in the sense that Mangala is, well, apparently picked up a knock, and obviously Andre Santos can't play against his parent club, so he might have to play anyway. But it's not been good. Like it really hasn't been good. Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say yesterday. Like I've said, the penalty wasn't a penalty. I think that was very harsh on him for that one, but he just didn't seem. I don't know. He didn't seem himself. He didn't seem like he was able to drive at teams. Like against Sheffield United, he was sort of playing within himself. It felt like he was playing sideways and backwards a lot. It wasn't too dissimilar yesterday. And yeah, it's a little bit of a concern. But as you say, like the guy's only 21, 22. Like young players will go through inconsistent matches of form. We know this, and this is something that we said about Johnson last season, especially because we know how good they can be. We know how good these players can be, but they aren't robots. They aren't the fully consistent £100 million player yet. That might come in time. It might not. But I've seen enough from Danilo to suggest that there's certainly a great player in there, but we just need to. I think he needs to figure out a way how to play this new system because it seems very alien to him at the minute, and he doesn't seem very assured of himself either. So yeah, I would consider taking him out the firing line for a little bit, just like we did with Worrell last season when we needed to. When Worrell was poor, he came back very strongly. So yeah, that is a bit of a concern because I didn't think he was probably about 6 out of 10 at best yesterday.
Reece, anything to add?
Yeah, I think this is something, again, we've said. I think whenever we do play a two in midfield, whoever that is, I think we do struggle personally. We probably, let's be honest, played as two technically best in terms of on the ball midfielders against Sheffield United. You would probably say a one of, if not the worst side in the league, and we got overran second half for a sustained period. So, as Christian said, I think to see the best of probably like Danilo and Mangala, really, because I think you probably need to play a three. Obviously, Ryan Yates is probably our most suited midfielder to play in a two because he can battle and he'll get around the pitch, whereas Danilo and Mangala aren't real battlers. They obviously like to get on the ball more. So, yeah, I think while we are as we are, I think we've got to kind of play a three. But the problem is for us as well, we're playing a three, is that we play with a 10, isn't it? So it's kind of finding that right balance, and it's something that I think Cooper has to think about, and it's a bit of a struggle because, and like Christian said as well, and then we might sign a centre before the end of the window. I mean, I hope we do, but you look at the other options at the minute. Obviously, Andre Santos only came in, was it on Friday? So it's probably a bit too early for him to play yesterday. He can't play against Chelsea, obviously. Kouyaté is probably somebody who I see as an impact player. I think he's come on Anti a couple of times. And Remo Freuler, I think, is probably won't play
He's
for us.
leaving, isn't he?
Yeah, I think you don't think he'll play for us again. I mean, he's been on the bench, he's not come on at all. And Lewis O'Brien was on the bench first game of the season, and he's not been on since. So it probably tells you that Cooper's, that's what he's got at the minute. So it might give him more options once the end of the window's come by.
Yeah, I mean, I did want to get a brief, maybe like opinion on both these players that are reported. Well, Andrew Santos is already in the building, but Murillo coming in from Corinthians, if you believe what's been said, that it's already been confirmed. I know he was on the bench for them last night in the Copa Sudamericana, I think it is, which is like our Europa League. It's like our Europa League, isn't it? So, Ruiz, you may as well give us what you think Andre Santos might give us. I know we'd be lying if we said, oh yeah, we know loads about him, but we really don't, apart from YouTube clips and maybe what Chelsea fans have said in pre-season. But Nathan's obviously going to come on after the Chelsea game and give us a better insight to it. But what do you think he might bring from what you've seen?
I've not seen much of him at all, and I kind of usually look out for Nathan's tweets on him. I mean, Nathan's words was enjoy him while we can, so he's obviously vastly highly rated. Chelsea seem to be signing any highly rated youngster at the minute, don't they? So
sweeping all the wonder kids up.
We'll have to see. With any signing, the proof will be in the pudding. It was someone we permanently wanted before we actually did go to Chelsea. I believe. I think we was linked with him.
Quite possible. We was linked with a lot of South America.
That's true. There's just that many names. I've kind of forgot some, but yeah, we'll have to see what he can bring. I'd imagine he'll play on Wednesday night. To be honest,
yes,
not being able to play against Chelsea, and then obviously there's the international break then. So yeah, I'd imagine he'll play on Wednesday, and probably a few others will as well. Maybe if Freuler is still here, that might be one he might play in, and there might be a few others, but we'll see.
Christian Murillo, what do you think? I mean, there's already been a great song made for him, and the rest of the Brazilian contingent in the squad looks like a very capable centre half coming in, especially left-sided, which is something I think we do need.
Yeah, I actually thought we'd more focus on the right side rather than the left. I suppose it probably means that if we are going to go to the back three, still it'll probably be, assuming he signs, Murillo on the left, Niakate in the middle, and Felipe on the right. But no, from what I've seen, he looks very good. He looks very well built for the Prem. Definitely, he looks quite a big chap. Doesn't he? He doesn't look like someone you could rock off the ball quite easily. So that's obviously good. Some physicality, some pace. I saw the analyst account sort of show some little clips of him. He looks like he's very rarely needing to run because he's very well positioned. So that's also very good. Very good, But just some conjectures of what's actually going on, because the Corinthians director came out yesterday and said that nothing's been sorted yet. Murillo's put like a goodbye post on his Instagram. You've got Fab and that other Nicola Sharp bloke saying that it's all done. So just looks like another bloody saga that's going to map out to the end of the window. But if we get one over the line, we need a centre back. I think yesterday proved that, really. I mean, I saw someone say on Twitter last night that in terms of that second half, it couldn't have really gone much worse. I mean, like McKenna went off injured, Worrell got sent off. Like, we're down to sort of the bare bones a bit, really, from that department. So Yates was playing there as auxiliary centre back for about a good 10 minutes yesterday. And then until Cooper went, fuck it, try and get an equaliser. So yeah, it's a very pressing need. But hopefully, I mean, he looks good from what I've seen. I mean, obviously, I'm not like Nathan. I'm not some South American football guru. Maybe I should be, given my heritage, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, like, he looks a very smart signing. Obviously, only 21 as well, so there's a lot of scope to grow as too. I don't guess be registered. So yeah, there's a lot to like about it, and hopefully, if it comes off, we've got a good gem, and we've got the next Thiago Silva. That's a dream. But yeah,
that would be nice, wouldn't it? Obviously, we've got Chelsea next week, but before that, we've got the little hiccup of the League Cup. Obviously, we went very far in it last season, gents, and getting to the semi-final. Burnley away for us at home. I believe, is it on Wednesday? Reece,
Yes.
Yeah. So we play him on Wednesday. So I just want a score prediction really. I'm not too fussed until we maybe get into the last stage. It's a bit of a boring tie, to be fair. It'd be nice to play a little bit like a lower league side, to be honest. No disrespect to Burnley, they probably think the same. They probably think it's boring enough.
Oh yeah, because they've got back-to-back away games against us, and obviously likewise we've got back-to-back home games against us, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was God, when a draw come out, I was like, oh Jesus. Fair play to Forest on the pricing for that game, because £10 is really good pricing. I think it wouldn't have gone down well if they'd gone like with a 20 quid. So fair play to them on that. It's something I hope we can go far in again. I mean, the cup run last season was brilliant, from the start at Grimsby until probably the quarterfinals, and then obviously it did turn a bit sour when we came up against Manchester United, but we did end up losing to the eventual winners. So it is something what I hope we can go far in again. We've obviously got a real good heritage with this competition, winning it 4 times under Cloughie. So yeah, hopefully we can beat them. And the good thing is we're at home, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 Forest win.
All right, Christian.
Yeah, it's a rancid draw, isn't it? I mean, I think all of us were like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" and we saw that one come out of the hat. But I agree with Reece. It's great pricing. I mean, yeah, I see it's got it. It should be fun. I mean, I'm not going to give it too much for it. It'd be good if we can get far in it. Obviously, main focus is definitely on the league game again in a few weeks' time. But I would also share the 2-1 prediction at home. I think that it'd be interesting to see what team he puts out. Hopefully, see a few other different faces that have got a point to prove, especially in that midfield position. Andre Santos has the potential to give him a real headache if he plays well in that game. So, yeah, we'll be interested to see.
Score prediction?
I said 2-1. Yeah, same as Reece. Yeah,
2-1. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see. I think like Montiel will probably get minutes and players like that, and maybe even Horvath in goal or Shelby. We'll see. But obviously Chelsea next week. Christian, we've got the pleasure of welcoming Dave back on the pod in the week, obviously to give us a preview. That was very fun last season. Listening to him, how much he was so disappointed in his football club, to say they've spent £1 billion on footballers, which is absolutely farcical. But Christian, we'll go with you first. What are your predictions for the Chelsea game and as such?
So I don't know if any of you saw the Luton game, but Luton was shit.
Yeah.
Like really, really shit. Like are we talking like lower half championship team going to a Prem team in the FA Cup, like levels of shit? Leeds just had 2-1 Forest for the Burnley game, by the way. On a side note, but they were just so bad, and I felt until the end Chelsea made quite hard work of it. Really, they had a lot of the ball, a fair few chances, but they didn't really have that cutting edge until it was pretty much gifted to them on a plate. I mean, I know Chilwell should have scored. Obviously they made the wrong decisions at the wrong times for a lot of things, but you can still see that, like, even though the player quality they're working with is like phenomenal, they are still very much a work in progress at the minute. So I think it could like clinging on to words here, it could work in our favour that they're still maybe not the finished article just yet. So that does leave still, like, obviously same with West Ham. When they played West Ham, for example, they were well on top for a good 20 minutes, half hour, failed to score, and got hit with a sucker punch and just fell to bits. So there's definitely a scope there. I think we could get a draw. I'm going to be optimistic and say a 1-1 draw. I don't think it's. Hopefully Taiwo as well to keep the run going. But can't see us getting a win. I think we're now showing more enough away now that if we are to lose, someone's going to have to be very good to beat us, which is nice. But yeah, so I'm going to go for 1-1 draw.
Right. Well, Lee's gone for a 1-1 draw, and I do. If Lee, if you are listening, which you should be, because you're an avid fan and a part of this podcast, but I forgot to do your slept on it thoughts. So I'm really, really sorry. You can have a go at a referee next week. Reece, your score prediction for Chelsea?
Has that well paid you to not read Lee's slept on it thoughts?
I mean, I could give it. I mean, he says, "Fuck Stuart Atwell." I mean, that's in the first sentence. If that's anything to go by.
Chelsea. Yeah, I very much agree with Christian. I don't think Luton really laid a glove on them personally, but with obviously the vast wealth difference in terms of teams, I mean, what did you kind of expect? You're seeing that in midweek with Villa playing Hibs, they absolutely pasted them. So I can see it being a competitive game again, really can. Similar to last year when they were going through the motions then, but obviously they're a side who are now looking to improve. The worry for me was we couldn't contain Raheem Sterling last year, and now he's actually played quite well. It's going to be even tougher to contain him because he looks like he's getting back to form. I do really like Nicholas Jackson, although he's raw, makes some really good runs, and obviously we've seen what a run through his defence did yesterday. So that is something we're going to have to be wary against. Obviously, Ben Chilwell loves to absolutely bomb forward. I mean, I'm no idea what he was doing trying to pass that ball. It actually cost me a bet that didn't point because I didn't score. So yeah, I wasn't too pleased. But yeah, I think it would be a competitive game again. Generally, would not surprise me at all if Tyro scored again. He obviously got 2 there last season, didn't he? But I'm just going to go with Chelsea to edge us out, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 Chelsea win. But it generally wouldn't surprise me if we did get a result, which and it was really competitive again and really tight, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fairly confident going to Chelsea because I feel like there are gaps to be exploited and there are players to play on, especially when you've got the beast up front in Tyro Wundy, the smiling assassin, as I like to call him. So I think he could give Disasi and Thiago Silva a run for their money. I think it'll be a competitive game. It'll be very, very interesting to see how we line up. And I'm quite pleased at the moment that we've gone to Arsenal, we've gone to Man U, we've scored 3 goals. I mean, I don't know how long it took us to score 3 goals last season, but it must have took a bloody long time. So,
well, do you want to hear this? I may as well say this. So I went.
I think this was on Twitter, wasn't it?
I nearly read. So I went to the first.
David Jackson said it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went. This is me personally. I went to the first 15 away in the Premier League last season. I seen 6 goals. Since then, I've not been to the last 6 away, and we've scored 9.
So it's you. It's all your fault.
I'm going to Manchester City, so expect a big fat 0 that day.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah, so apparently it took Forest till January 21st to score 3 goals in the league last season away from home.
That is grim reading, isn't it?
This time around.
So yeah, you've got
really highlights how poor our away form was last year.
You've got to say that's big improvement. And when you obviously go to the teams that are going to be in and amongst around us, then we've got a bit of we should show a bit of a better account of ourselves. But yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-1 at Chelsea. I do think we'll get something. I feel like we could be their bogey side almost, where they just don't know how to play against us and we're very awkward. So yeah, I'm going to go for 1-1. That'll be the surprise or bonus point that we've got from these away games. Hopefully, maybe we might give Man City a shock. But we'll soon see. That's the hope of being a football fan. But thank you very much for joining us on Red Side of the Trent again. We hope you all have a good week. We'll see you again in midweek for the Chelsea preview with Dave Cook. Until next time, come on, you Reds.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.